This is part 3 of our 4-part MikroTik VLAN series. In this video, we'll turn R1 into the gateway for all of our VLANs using router on a stick. We'll create the VLAN interfaces and gateways, configure DHCP servers, and finally test that each VLAN can successfully reach its gateway. Let's get started. In the previous video, we completed the VLAN configuration on switch 1. We configured the PBID values on the access ports, built the bridge VLAN table, and enabled VLAN filtering. We also created VLAN 99 for managing switch 1. In this video, we'll implement router on a stick on R1. We'll create a separate VLAN interface for VLANs 10, 20, 30, and 99. Configure the gateway for each network and set up DHCP servers for the client VLANs. Section 2. Checking the connection between R1 and switch 1. First, let's check the interfaces on R1. The first interface is connected to VMware NAT and will be used as the WAN interface in part 4. The second interface is connected to VMnet 2 and forms the trunk link between R1 and switch 1. For better readability, you can rename either 2 to trunk switch 1. If you already renamed it in an earlier step, you don't need to change it again. Section 3. Understanding router on a stick. In a router on a stick design, one physical interface carries multiple VLANs at the same time. We create a separate VLAN interface on top of that physical interface for each VLAN. Each VLAN interface receives an IP address, and that address becomes the gateway for devices inside that VLAN. In this lab, all VLAN traffic reaches R1 through the trunk switch 1 interface. Section 4. Creating the VLAN 10 interface. We'll start by creating the VLAN interface for the admin network. Set the interface name to VLAN 10 admin. Set the VLAN ID to 10. For the parent interface, select the physical trunk interface. Trunk switch 1. R1 can now receive tagged VLAN 10 traffic through the trunk link. Section 5. Creating the VLAN 20, VLAN 30, and VLAN 99 interfaces. Now repeat the same process for the other 3 VLANs. Create VLAN 20 users VLAN ID 20 for the user's network. Create VLAN 30 guest with VLAN ID 30 for the guest network. Finally, create VLAN 99 MGMT for the management network. The parent interface must be trunk switch 1 in all 4 cases. Section 6. Checking the VLAN interfaces. Before assigning IP addresses, check the VLAN interface settings. Each VLAN ID must match its interface name. The parent interface for all 4 VLAN interfaces must also be the trunk port. If a VLAN ID is incorrect, R1 won't receive traffic from the expected network. Section 7. Assigning the gateway address for VLAN 10. Now we'll create the gateway for VLAN 10. Assign 192.168.10.1/24 to the VLAN 10 admin interface. This address will become the default gateway for devices inside the admin network. Any traffic leaving VLAN 10 for another network will first be sent to this address. Section 8. Assigning the gateways for VLANs 20, 30, and 99. Repeat the same process for the other 3 networks. The gateway for the user's network is 192.168.20.1. The gateway for the guest network is 192.168.30.1. For the management network, assign 192.168.99.1 to VLANs 99 MGMT. Switch 1 is already using 192.168.99.2 inside this network. Section 9. Checking the IP address table. R1 now has an IP address inside all 4 VLANs. These networks will automatically appear in the routing table as connected routes. This means R1 is connected to all 4 networks at layer 3 and can route traffic between them. However, each client still needs a valid IP address and the correct gateway. Section 10. Checking the connected routes. Inside IP routes, we can see 4 connected routes. RouterOS created these routes automatically after we assigned the IP addresses. Each route confirms that R1 is directly connected to that network. There is no internet default route yet. We'll receive the default route through the WAN DHCP client in part 4. Section 11. Testing communication with switch 1 through VLAN 99. Before creating the DHCP servers, let's test VLAN 99. From R1, ping the switch 1 management address 192.168.99.2. From R1, ping the switch 1 management address 192.168.99.2. If we receive replies, VLAN 99 is being carried correctly between R1 and switch 1 across the trunk link. This test also confirms that the management VLAN interface and gateway address are configured correctly. Section 12. Understanding the DHCP structure. To provide DHCP service inside each VLAN, we need 3 main components. First, we create an IP pool that defines the addresses available for clients. Next, we create a DHCP server on the VLAN interface for that network. Finally, inside DHCP network, we define the network address, gateway, and DNS server. We won't create a DHCP server for VLAN 99 because management devices normally use static IP addresses. Section 13. Creating the VLAN 10 IP pool. We'll start by creating the IP pool for VLAN 10. Set the pool name to pool VLAN 10. The address range will be from 192.168.10.100 to 192.168.10.199. Section 14. Creating the VLAN 20 and VLAN 30 IP pools. Now create a separate pool for each of the other client networks. VLAN 20 will use addresses from 192.168.20.100 to 192.168.20.199. VLAN 30 will use addresses from 192.168.30.100 to 192.168.31.199. Each pool must only be used by the DHCP server for its own VLAN. Section 15. Creating the VLAN 10 DHCP server. Now we'll create the DHCP server for VLAN 10. Set the name to DHCP VLAN 10. Select VLAN 10 admin as the interface. Set the address pool VLAN 10. We'll use a lease time of 1 hour, which is suitable for this lab. If the wrong interface is selected, the DHCP server may respond inside the wrong VLAN or appear as invalid. Section 16. Creating the VLAN 20 and VLAN 30 DHCP servers. Repeat the same process for VLANs 20 and 30. DHCP VLAN 20 must use the VLAN 20 interface and its corresponding pool. DHCP VLAN 30 must use VLAN 30 guest and pool VLAN 30. At the end of this step, we should have 3 active DHCP servers. Section 17. Creating the DHCP network for VLAN 10. Now we'll define the network settings that DHCP will provide to VLAN 10 clients. The address field must contain the complete VLAN 10 network. Set the gateway to 192.168.10.1. Set the DNS server to the same gateway address. In part 4, we'll enable DNS forwarding on R1. Section 18. Creating the DHCP networks for VLANs 20 and 30. Enter the same type of settings for VLANs 20 and 30. The gateway and DNS server for each network must be their R1 address inside that VLAN. The DHCP servers are now ready. However, we won't see any active leases until the clients are configured to obtain their addresses through DHCP. Section 19. Checking the DHCP servers. Before testing the clients, check all 3 DHCP servers. Each DHCP server must be assigned to the correct VLAN interface. Its address pool must also match the same VLAN. If one of the DHCP servers appears as invalid, check the VLAN interface and make sure that interface has an IP address. Section 20. Assigning a temporary static address to PC10. To test the VLAN gateway without enabling DHCP yet, we'll assign a temporary static address to PC10. This address belongs to the VLAN 10 network. We don't need a default route to ping the gateway because the client and gateway are inside the same subnet. Section 21. Quickly configuring PC20 and PC30. Assign temporary static addresses to PC20 and PC30 as well. PC20 will use an address from the VLAN 20 network. PC30 will use an address from the VLAN 30 network. These addresses are only for testing in this video. In part 4, they'll be replaced with DHCP assigned addresses. Section 22. Testing the VLAN gateways. Now test each client's connection to its own gateway. PC10 should be able to ping 192.168.10.1. PC20 should receive replies from 192.168.20.1. PC30 should be able to reach 192.168.30.1. If all three tests succeed, the following path is working correctly inside each VLAN. Client, access port, switch 1, trunk, VLAN interface on R1. In this video, we configured router on a stick on R1, created the gateways for our VLANs, and set up the DHCP servers. We also confirmed that each client can successfully reach its own VLAN gateway. But our network isn't complete yet. The clients still don't have internet access. In part 4, the final part of this MikroTik VLAN series will connect R1 to the internet, configure DNS and NAT, switch the clients to DHCP and perform the final network tests. So continue with part 4 to complete the entire VLAN lab.